New York Mayor Eric Adams may not be out of legal trouble yet, with a federal judge ordering DOJ attorneys to explain their decision to drop Adams' case in court today, set for 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Meanwhile, Governor Kathy Hochul met with city leaders to discuss the possibility of removing the mayor from office.
And the only reason that the governor has to make a decision to do something or not do something that has not been done in 235 years is because there was a double standard used on Eric Adams' case. Having said that, the governor said to me that she's going to see what the judge decides tomorrow and keep deliberating with other leaders.
But the man who could replace Adams is a social activist known for pushing an anti-police agenda. Madeline Brame is a New York City criminal victim rights advocate whose son, Army Sergeant Hassan Correa, was murdered in 2018. Madeline, thank you so much for joining us. There is a real possibility here that the governor could remove Mayor Adams from office. And if that happens, the first in line to replace him would be the city's public advocate, a man named Jumaane Williams. What do you know about him, and do you think he's the right man for the job?
Well, thank you so much for having me. And my opinion, personal or otherwise, of Mr. Williams is that he is not, suitable. He's not a good candidate. He would not be a good fit for mayor of New York City. Based on personal experiences, back when my son was murdered in 2018, 2019, I went to an event up in Harlem, and Jumaane Williams saw my tears when I was telling the story about my son's death, and I approached him after the event, and he basically just shooed me away and ran off with his security into the car. I basically chased him, to try to, please. I knew who he was, but I didn't know who he was at the time. He was not public advocate. Letitia James was public advocate at the time, while Mayor Adams was the Brooklyn borough president. So this is before all those guys got elevated to this celebrity status. Okay, and once that happened, what broke loose. Yeah.
Madeline, why would he run away from you?
Probably because he was one of the champions of the laws that made it possible, and plus it was against Alvin Bragg and the assistant district attorney Daphne Uran, who. It was because of those laws that two of my son's killers were just completely, they completely dismissed the gang assault and the murder indictments against two of the people who are clearly on video participating in the brutal, savage murder of my son. Who does that?
Yeah.
Who does that?
Well, Madeline, this is a Daily Mail headline, to your point, back from September of last year, because Eric Adams' legal troubles have been going on for some time now. And they write why the NYPD is dreading the prospect of indicted Mayor Eric Adams being replaced by super woke Jumaane Williams. Jumaane Williams is a known cop hater, one NYPD official told DailyMail.com. He has a notorious reputation in the department for choosing the side of the criminal and throwing cops under the bus. Yes. And the crazy thing about this entire conversation is that there is a mayoral election this year with a competitive Democratic primary in June. So don't you think that the voters should decide who the next mayor will be? And maybe it won't be Mayor Eric Adams, maybe it will, but it should be the will of the people.
Well, absolutely. I think that New Yorkers or Americans as a whole have completely lost the patience with dealing with this, anti-cop, pro-criminal, and this social justice agenda, this restorative justice. We have lost the patience with it. And the government has lost the political will to continue to fund it. All right. And so I think that's where we are today. All right. And I also feel that New Yorkers should have the opportunity to vote for their next mayor. With Kathy Hochul, not racial profiling, but racial signaling to the black community, with meeting with black leaders, to oust Eric Adams. You know, that's just another meaningless act of symbolism, all right, to get the support from the Black community.
And Eric Adams has said, I'm working with the Trump administration because there are criminal illegal immigrants in our city that are causing harm to Americans. If he is removed from office, don't Democrats run the risk of people saying, well, wait a second, he only got removed because he's working with the Trump administration to get New York City to become a safer place?
And you know, most Americans, okay, conservatives, independents, Democrats, Republicans, most of us voted exactly for what Trump and Musk are doing. You know, we would be very disappointed if they weren't doing that. You know, and I don't understand why the Democrats and the progressives are pushing back and so much against it when the majority of Americans, we voted for it. And it's also a good thing that they're doing. Who doesn't want more money in their pocket? Who doesn't want less taxes? Who doesn't want them going after the fraud, the waste, and the abuse of our tax dollars that we have been suffering for decades? You know, and leader after leader has been promising that they would, you know, go after this fraud, waste, and abuse. Now we finally have people who have the backbone to actually do it, and then we have these Democrats whining about it.
Well, you have been through so much, and now you're advocating for the safety of others after your son wasn't afforded that. We thank him so much for his service, and thank you so much for joining us, Madeline Brame. Thank you so much.